Got it.
All right. So we just started a few minutes ago and started recording, obviously, just a second ago. And one of the things I said to Woody is that part of creating this village, which is just a fantastic concept, is also making sure that people have some fun things to do, and not just kids, but I mean the adults who use the workshops, or even people who are using some storage, that there would be something that, you know, where people can play together. And I've got this theory, I've said it many times, people, whether they're tenants, commercial or residential or industrial tenants that play together, stay together, they stay longer, they're happier. And then Woody and I both read a book that I wrote called Twilight Zone. And in that, I was just scouring those pages, and I realized that in that book, I mentioned the game cornhole, which is a big NFL tailgating thing. And I didn't realize until I reread it that if you throw a beanbag onto the board and it doesn't go in the hole, but it stays on the board, it's worth 1 point, and it's called a Woody. Since I'm talking to Woody, I thought you got to have a cornhole a play area when you get the village set up for June of next year. And I'll tell you something, Woody, it's funny, when I did Dunrobin Lake, which was a 17-year excavation project, I had a sand pit in Dunrobin, you know, and I dug it out, sold the sand, and created this 22-acre lake. You know how I sold most of the lots?
No.
Okay, so what I did was I put my sailboat in the lake, and just a small albacore, which is a family boat. And I would say to people, hey, if you're interested, I'll be there on Saturday afternoon. Come up to the lake. And you know, I had, I think, about 50 lots to sell, and I probably sold 40 of them by taking people out of my albacore and selling them on the boat.
Because they have nowhere to run once they're on the boat with you too.
I hadn't thought of that. I had them trapped, but that wasn't really the idea behind it. The idea behind it was to get them in a relaxed state. And you know, you're in Ottawa expecting 30 centimeters of snow today. I'm in Merida, Mexico, expecting a high of 29 degrees Celsius. So, and before we started recording it, I do think that your goal, Michelle, and your goal, which is to be financially free and financially successful through real estate, great goal, but also to spend some time in the South, whether it's 6 months or 3 months, I don't know, but it definitely helps the spirit, because I think we need sunlight. I do. We need warmth, and it helps in a lot of ways. I think it helps with health, but it also helps with creativity.
Yeah, that's absolutely one of our goals, Bruce, is get the village up and running, profitable, and increase the fair market value, you know, turn it into something, like do that economic alchemy with the village, and then look at doing something in the South where we could spend some time, and when we're not there, have something like you have, which is an Airbnb that generates revenue for us when we're at home doing our own thing here.
Yeah, and if you could, I spend 5 minutes just showing you one of the Airbnbs down here, because I think I'd like you to show it to Michelle if she has the time to view this. But I'm not saying it should be Merida. It could be Costa Rica. It could be the Dominican Republic. It could be any number of places. But the good thing about Merida, as I mentioned, is it's a safe place. It's the home of the of the Maya people. It's very peaceful. It's not a beach town. It's 35 kilometers to the beach, and it's not a party town either, but lots of culture, lots of education, lots of good food, good music, festivals. I mean, it's a wonderful place to stay. But Costa Rica is beautiful. The good news about Merida is that there's a direct flight from Toronto to Merida. It's about a 4.5 hour flight. So Costa Rica is a little further. And the Dominican Republic is a wonderful place too. But I actually think Merida has it beat. And I'll tell you something else. I hope, as I said, I hope Michelle will watch this too, is I think Merida real estate is underpriced. And I'll show you why. See if I can find it here. Yeah, I've got it. And again, I'm working on my surfaces, my big computer. So if I screw up and I drop you somehow, you know, we'll just re-log in. All right, so let me just see if I can share this. So you should be seeing a slide deck now. Can you see it?
Yes, yeah.
I'm just trying to get it to play. It's not, I guess it's a different thing. I don't know, try this one. No. All right. So I'll have to somehow.
Are you looking to set up the presentation?
Yeah, I want to, it's a slideshow. Yeah, here's the slideshow.
Bottom, Bruce?
I got it here, I think. Oh, yeah.
Go down to the bottom and you'll see next to this, there you go, okay.
Yeah, I think we're okay now. So this is an Airbnb in Merida that a friend of ours owns. Her name is Diane. You can see the address there. And most of the places in Merida, when you look at them from the outside, they don't really look like much. The streets are narrow. A lot of the homes are from the outside look very, very modest. And you can see this is Diane's place. That's her car parked there, and this is the entrance to the building. But it's a little bit like many, Arab countries like Morocco. If you go to Morocco, you see these cities and the houses from the street. They look very modest, and they have these huge, great walls around them that are 12, 14, 15 feet tall. The entire lot is contained within these walls. It's really interesting the way they do it. But when you go inside, many of the homes are fantastic. So you go inside Diane's home, and you can see, this was the kitchen area here. This was, I guess, the dining area. No, this was a sort of an eat-in breakfast nook, if you will. This is the dining area here. It was absolutely, you can see my wife sitting there. That's one living room, and here on the bottom right was another living room. The ceiling height where we are now, the ones that I was trying to show you earlier, and I didn't have time to upload them to the computer. The ceiling height here, believe it or not, I think is 18 feet. If you look behind me, that ceiling fan is probably 16 feet, and the ceiling is, it's incredible. The spaces are phenomenal. And here is one bedroom. That would be my wife's bedroom. I think this one was mine. They do have mosquito netting, but I never used it. I didn't need it. And they all have ceiling fans. And because in the wintertime, low temperatures are 19, at least for me, you don't really need air conditioning. There is air conditioning, but most don't. The other great thing is that the internet is fantastic in Merida, fantastic. Here is the lap pool that Diane has, and this is her backyard garden. It's absolutely beautiful. And again, the pools are not heated because by the time the sun gets to them and warms them up, in January where we are now, the pool would probably be 24 or 25 degrees. By the time you get to March or April, it'll probably be 27 or 28. So very, very nice. And like I was saying earlier, you never know whether you're indoors or outdoors. It's kind of like being in Hawaii. They build these buildings and you sort of have to look up from time to time to see if you're actually outside or inside, and they have these incredible spaces. Now, one of the things that Diane did was she had, long before I talked to her, she had the main house, which was 2 bedrooms, and she had a micro suite, right? So she could rent out the micro suite separately and the 2-bedroom Airbnb. But what I said to her, and I'm not sure she's going to do it, is she had this indoor-outdoor room, which really was almost wasted space. And in front of that was, in fact, another space. And she could have had quite a nice 3rd micro suite, because there's lots of young people who come down to Merida, they get sick of the winter too. And so her income could have significantly increased, but I'm not sure she wanted that. And it would have been its own studio apartment. All of them would have had their own entrances. So she's got an existing micro suite, a beautiful 2-bedroom Airbnb, and she could have had a 3rd studio apartment. And then it turned out when she bought this, and she paid for this, she paid $350,000 US. And when she got it, guess what? In behind, she has another lot. And I said, Diane, what the hell is this? Because there was this big, tall, wall at the back behind the, I think it was behind my bedroom. and or maybe Dawn's bedroom, and she had this lot. She said, "Oh yeah, I got another lot." I said, "Well, you could do incredible things with that." So here's an aerial view of it, and so this here, if you can follow my cursor, where the number 2 is, you come in here. This is the 2-bedroom apartment that we had. This is the micro suite over here, and this number 3 here with a question mark is where she could have had an independent micro. Would even be bigger than a micro suite. Would have been a nice studio apartment. Would have been lovely. And then number 4 is the lot back here. I mean, she has a huge lot back there that she could develop. I won't do the video tour; it takes too long. You know, so here's Dawn and I with some friends. We invited you know, a maestro. This gentleman is coming again this year. He is one of the great chefs in Merida, and he comes with his wife. They bring the wine, they bring the food, and you can entertain, and they prepare all the meals.
Nice.
And that's enough of that. So, you know, when you and Michelle are looking, you know, imagine buying something like that for 350 or 400,000 US dollars. You know, what would you get in Ottawa for that price? You know, probably not very much.
Maybe a tiny home in the village.
Well, you do better than a tiny home. But you know, my coach house in Belleville, Woody, is costing me $304,000. It's a 2-bedroom backyard coach house. By the time I pay for all the connections, you know, plumbing and electrical and you know, sewer, water, storm, do the site works, $304,000 plus whatever I paid for the design.
Yeah, so you're in the same ballpark.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, well, that's Canadian dollars. You know, Diane paid US dollars, but even so, and the Airbnb rates are lower than they would be in Florida, that's for sure, or California, but they're not that much lower. Anyway, I just wanted to show you that slide deck because you know, you should come to Merida at some point and investigate on your own. But before you do, maybe next year when I come back, you come with me then.
Yeah, hopefully we will be flush with cash by then, and we'll be able to make it happen.
Surprisingly, by the end of 2023, Woody and Michelle are doing just great.
We will. Not surprisingly, yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, not surprisingly, yes. I wrote that down, actually.
Perfect. Well, thank you in retrospect for that advanced good wish.
Okay, a couple of comments, just generally as I went through it this morning, I wonder if we could just look at your website for a second.
Yeah.
And I'll just show you how it looks down here. Not that it's any different, I suppose, from Merida, but I really quite liked it, but there were a couple of issues I wasn't 100% sure about, so I wanted to show you. Yeah. But I think what you're doing is fantastic. So I really like this thing here, type your message, which I did. And as I mentioned to you before we got started, it asked me to do it twice. First time I think was a text, and the second time it actually asked me to you know, to do it by email. So I got asked twice.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I wanted to see the whole website, but I don't know how to get rid of this thing to minimize.
Oh, the text box. Yeah, that's actually. Can you scroll up?
I tried clicking all around.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, listen, this is it's a work in progress. This is not a criticism. I just.
Yeah, I don't have that issue on mine though. That's why I'm wondering.
The other thing is, you know, can you see your logo over here? It is too small. Like even with my glasses on, and I zoomed, made it a little bigger. It's so small. Maybe it could be a little bigger.
Yeah, so that's a limitation of the actual chat bot.
Yeah, it might be.
So I have to leave it like that. And you'll see on the top where the tab is too, there's a little village where it says right at the very top and top, on the very, very top of your screen to the left.
Okay.
The logo there where it says contractor storage yards. It's the same thing. It's a limitation in terms of the size of the logo we can put in.
Okay. So I wasn't really able to see too much here. And what I'm going to try right now is I'll try a different browser. Can you see my screen still?
Yeah.
I've just gone to, oh, look at this. I just went to use Chrome.
Yeah, Chrome's better.
Yeah, definitely it works better. Look at this now. It says here, wait, oh, there we are. Okay. So it has popped up here, which is great.
I'm still seeing the old browser, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Okay, hang on. Give me a second. So you should be seeing, wait, shoot. I don't think I'm on the right. I'm going to close this one, I think. Right, side. Okay. Let me just share again. So now I'm on Chrome. And when I first came on Chrome, it wasn't there. And then it popped up. And now I can't get rid of it on Chrome either.
Okay, interesting.
So anyway, there must be a way of minimizing it.
Yeah, there is. Do you want me to share my screen and we can look at it?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm going to stop sharing that. And I'll make you the co-host.
Okay. It says the host disabled participants.
No, I just have to, I'm a little slower on this machine.
All right.
All right.
Can you see my, yeah, okay, you can see it.
Yeah, I see the Zoom.
All right.
Perfect. Now let's see if you click on, hey, this is Woody, what happens? Oh, that's much better.
Yeah, and there's a closeout button here too.
Yeah, yeah.
And you might want to try it on your mobile device too, Bruce. So it's sort of set up for the mobile device form factor and desktop. But yeah, I mean, you can click on and off of this.
So I'm on a Surface, like I'm on a tablet right now, a Surface tablet. And oh, it's perfect the way it's showing up on your screen. But do you have anybody who can help you with this?
Well, yeah, this is the first. I've shared this with a number of people that I know already, and this is the first challenge that I've had. So I'm not sure.
So that's fine. Can you go? On your computer? Can you go Control++ just to make it a little bigger? Unless you're on a Mac.
Yeah, I'm on a Mac, so it's not
okay. I don't know how you. I don't know anything about Macs. Okay, that's perfect. Oh, that's great. All right, and I'll just. Okay, that's good. That's good. I can now read it. All right. So workshops and storage solutions. Great tagline. Home workshops, contractor storage yards, workshop plus contractor yard packages. Fact contact. Beautiful. About the village. The village is a family-operated business that provides affordable industrial storage solutions and workshops, maker spaces. I would make maker spaces one word and all lowercase.
Okay.
The village is only, and it's not 5 minutes from downtown Smith Falls. I drove there, it was 3.
3 minutes.
It was no exaggeration. It's only 3 minutes from downtown Smith Falls. We know you may need to use your equipment at any given time of day. With our convenient hours, you'll have 24/7. I would go 24/7/365 access.
Okay.
Yeah, even Christmas Day, if you want to work, go for it. Our great location and quality security measures provide safe and convenient storage yards for your equipment and vehicles. I would say your equipment, inventory, and vehicles.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Because a lot of people are storing inventory now, you know, like if I'm a plumber, maybe I have stainless steel, you know, and that's expensive stuff, as you know. The village also provides much sought after private workshops, maker spaces. I would make it all lowercase, and maker spaces again is one word, where artisans can ply their craft and earn a nice living doing more of what they love. Oh, that's really well done. Feel free to browse our website and contact us when you're ready to be part of the village. Space is limited. Click here to secure your place. Let's see what we can do.
So one thing, Bruce, I'm going to refresh this and just and show you that there's some animation that I put in here too.
Oh, I didn't see that. Oh,
Yeah,
that's good. Okay, go down before you click on that green thing. Go down all the way to the bottom. I didn't see that. We'll store your. Yeah. Oh, that's really good. It should be copyright 2023.
okay.
And just where we moved along. All right, can we click here?
So here it opens up an email.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's basically a trigger. It opens up your email application so you can leave us.
Very cool. Before you close that, okay, does it? Okay, that's perfect. Yeah. Okay, I got it. So it's just an email.
Yeah, it's just an email.
That's perfect. You know, a lot of people prefer that, just email, hey, I need a spot. All right. All right. So show me the other pages of this.
Noted on the maker spaces here.
Yeah, that's okay. Workshops and maker spaces are ideal for small businesses, startups, creators, artisans, and those whose spare room or small space in the basement or garage.
Okay. Yeah.
Is no longer enough to accommodate inventory, tools, and materials. The village's newly refurbished workshop makerspace building is a path to creativity, productivity, profits, and fulfillment. This is really good. Said another way, we enable you to make the most of your business and live the life you dream of. Here are some of the noteworthy features of the village workshops maker. High-speed internet, building is heated and insulated. You will have your very own dedicated and secure space. Outside lighting for after dark safety. Brightly lit inside so you can visit anytime, day or night. Easy access via person door, large overhead door for easy access and loading, unloading. Electrical service provided for all workshops, maker spaces. Contractor tip: combine your contractor storage yard with a village workshop. I'm telling you, that's the way of the future, I think, for long yards too.
Good.
You'll save time and money and be more productive by keeping all of your stuff together in one safe and secure place. Check out the workshops and contractor yard packages page on our site. It's never been easier to have your own workshop at the village. Go down. Workshop, makerspace, workshop. Oh man, this is good. Okay. All right, I wouldn't change a thing on that page.
Okay. And then we've got.
Let's go look at contractor units. Yeah. Safe, secure, affordable, professional contractor yard storage yards. If you're a contractor or business with commercial industrial needs, we offer individual dedicated storage spaces for your equipment, tools, and machinery. I would add inventory again. The village is in Smith Falls, Ontario, and we also serve the communities of Perth, Carleton Place, Ottawa, and many other surrounding areas. At the village, we understand that professional contractors and business owners have unique needs and requirements. Talk to us about yours. Join the village and save on the extremely high cost of buying your own storage property and workshop. Why not invest your money in the things that make you money, like tools and equipment instead? That's really good. Okay, we'll store everything down there. Wouldn't change a thing on that page here. Again, that animation is good. Click here to secure your space. That's just another email thing.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, go to the packages. Yeah. All right. Save time, save money, streamline your business, home base rally point for your team and suppliers. Added level of security to reduce expensive vandalism and theft. Know where your equipment is at all times. High-speed internet provider. That's great. Develop a profitable referral network with the village contractors and grow your business. That's a really strong point. I would bold that one.
Okay. Yeah.
build credibility with your customers and enhance your brand with a professional and reputable business address. That's a very, I hadn't thought of that. If I send mail here, will they be able to get snail mail here?
I don't know. That's great.
I think that answer is yes. I think you should call Canada Post. You know, at the barn dominium, we have 8 people there, or maybe it's more than that. I don't know. Maybe there's 10 people there, and 9 anyway, and they all get mail there. We have one mailbox, but we have one person. She has the key. I think maybe 2 people have the key, but she goes. She picks up the mail every couple of days and says, "Oh, this is for Woody. This is for Bruce. This is for Jessica. Whatever." Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's actually something that I'll highlight too. You can have your,
No, because if I think, well, you actually have it there. You've said it already. It's a business address, and I would add there, you can have packages delivered here, and you can get snail mail, and then I would put in brackets shared mailbox.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
know, I mean, look, there's no way that anybody at the barn dominium is going to steal my mail or your mail. They just don't do that, you know. But you know, you have to tell them it's a shared mailbox, okay?
Bruce, before we go, are we still recording this?
Yes, we are.
Good, because I haven't been taking notes, expecting that it was recorded. That's perfect. Okay.
Okay, but this is a really good website. I really like it. And I like the idea of having that. Can you see if you can find a place, you know, go and snitch you know, a nice cornhole, you know, a picture of you know, a couple of young people playing cornhole, and put in there, you know, it isn't just a place to work, it's also a place to play.
Yeah, there's tons of images.
Oh, there's tons of them, yeah. And I just say, because I think it's important. I mean, what you're trying, right from the day that you mentioned the name, the village to me, you're not just creating something that's, you know, like, think about how hard you work and how hard Michelle works, and myself and my wife, Dawn, you know, make a little bit of money, you know, unfortunately not as much as we all would like, but a little bit anyway. And we work really hard, and everybody who rents from you here are going to be busting their butts to pay their bills and take care of themselves and their families. I think it would be really nice if you say, hey, we're not just a place where you're going to work hard, because right here, you develop a profitable referral network with the village contractors and grow your business. I would put you know, I would bold that, because that's really important. And by the way, I would say, it's not just a place to work hard, it's a place to have some fun. You know, during the warm weather months, we're going to have some fun things to do, like play cornhole, and I'd have a picture of cornhole.
Yeah, I love it. And that plays very well into, just to build on what you're saying, Bruce, the overall theme and vision that we have for what we call the village, right? I mean, you're not just there to stuff to do, and you can blow off some steam on a Friday or whatever.
Exactly. But you know, to set up a cornhole court, you just sort of have a boundary around it, and two cornholes and a bunch of bean bags. I mean, the cost, if it cost you $200, that would be really, maybe cost you $300 when you do a boundary, and do it properly, and, you know, post the rules, because most people don't really understand the rules. And you can take the rules from Twilight Zone, because I think the 5 points for the swish that Clara taught is a nice change, right? So let's say you and I are playing, and I've got a lot of woodies, you know, single points, and you put them through the hole, you know, it comes onto the board and slides in. That's worth 3. But then I'm way behind, but then luckily I throw one and it goes in without touching anything, you know, a swish, and I get 5 points. I think that's a nice change that she suggested in the novel. Really, yeah. I suggested it through her mouth.
I like that. I might even make it an optional rule, so we get them talking and creating.
Sure. Oh, I think that's a great idea. But, you know, you'd have a nice board, you know, and it could be, even if you have a nice handwriting, it could even be handwritten, so it looks like it's just like what we're trying to create. It's Smith Falls, right? It's a small town, Ontario. What we're trying to create is community. The other thing I'd like you to do is try and work in, and you know, it says at the end here, grow your business. I was hoping it would say, grow your business and your community.
Ah, yes.
Because that's really, to me, from the moment you mentioned, like I said a moment ago, you mentioned the village idea, community is really important. All right, okay, you can stop sharing now.
Okay. Yeah, the FAQ is just a bunch of other stuff there. So yeah, okay.
I think we've beaten this one to death. How's your tiny home search going? Have you run any ads yet?
I haven't run any ads yet. One of the things that I was doing is waiting to have a conversation with you about some of these other items as well. But I reached out to a bunch of people on Facebook. I've been in touch with some tiny homes admins throughout Ontario and some in BC as well, just trying to connect with them and letting them know what I'm looking to do. So that is starting to percolate a little bit with me. I'm getting myself on it, but I'll be putting an ad, and I want my website to be up and running too. So that I'm planning to do my advertising. We talked about on the agenda.
Let's say you got somebody like George and Brett. You remember the two young people who put their tiny home on next to the barndominium? You know, if you got, and they're super nice people, and they treat that place like it's their own. I mean, they're there all the time, and like I said, there's really no better security than that. And so, if George and Brett and their tiny home are there, you take a picture of it and say, "Hey, listen, meet George and Brett. They're actually on site. They're there all the time, and it provides an additional level of security."
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I want to capitalize on, is that extra level of security, because it's community, it's a village, but there's security in it too, right? So all of your expensive gear, whatever, there's an extra set of eyes in addition to the eye in the sky and the cameras we have, right?
Exactly. And I think I sent you this. This is the ad that I'm running for my Lesquiti property, right? And I don't know, I just started running it last week, so I haven't had any, at least that I know of, I haven't had any inquiries yet, but Waterhole Ranch, Gulf Island, Strait of Georgia in British Columbia, tiny house town. So I did something that was a little bit different. I did like almost like a Q&A with it. Are you interested in being part of an independent tiny house community on a beautiful, peaceful, wooded island with moderate climate? Do you own your own tiny house and need a place to park it? Are you into backyard homesteading, producing your own off-grid energy and living up to the tiny house motto of less house, more life? Can you work from home, or do you have your own side hustle? Do you want to live on a quarter to a half acre piece of paradise? Can you afford $500 plus GST? There's no HST in BC, but there is GST. If yes, please contact Jessica. That's one of my daughters. Jessica lives in a tiny house, and she actually does, at gmail.com. So,
I like it.
So I mean, you'll create your own ad, but I think it'll really add a lot of value.
Yeah, definitely. And I just need to figure out the messaging around, like, they're not going to necessarily be living in a piece of paradise. They're going to be living on a lot with a bunch of industrial.
No, but as you know, it's, you know, you cannot rent. I don't even think you can rent a room in Smith Falls for $500 a month.
Yeah.
I don't think so. So in your case, your messaging will be different, right? Are you tired of paying extortionate rents? Do you own your own tiny home? Have you been looking for a place to park it? You know, you can park it here. It's $500 a month, and because it's a parking lease, you have to charge HST, because that's your protection against any nosy neighbor who says, "What the hell?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Remember, I did a parking lease with George and Brett.
Yeah. And I've met both of my neighbors now, and they seem to be okay with it.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll be fine. And you know, mostly in small towns, you don't run into the same kind of things that you do in Ottawa, where the next door neighbor is a civil servant. She's bored. She's got more time than she knows what to do with. I hope I'm not insulting anybody, but I probably am. And they're nosy neighbors, and they love to dime people out, right?
Dime people out. Yeah, I like that expression.
Well, that's, that's like, if you're in the cartel and you dime out somebody in the cartel, your life expectancy shrunk to days.
And you know where that expression comes from, to dime out?
Yeah, a dime is like a dime bag of something, heroin or something.
I'm a huge Sopranos fan. That's my favorite series. And to drop a dime comes back in the day when you put a dime in a payphone and make that call and rat them out. Drop a dime.
I didn't know that. I thought to dime somebody out was because you can get a dime bag of, and these days it's $100, I suppose, for some crack cocaine, but it makes a lot of sense that it's the payphone.
Yeah, let's drop a dime. That's what you
Hey,
drop a
if you
dime.
want to know where the word sand comes from,
Sand? Sure.
somebody said, and I'm looking at your background, there's the sea and there's the land, and everything in between is sand. Sea,
Beautiful.
land, sand. I thought that was really clever. And now I know what it means to dime somebody up.
Perfect.
All right, so what about the signs on the site? What are you doing with that?
So there's a street sign, as you know.
Yep.
Made a few inquiries to some sign makers in Smith Falls. So we're going to paint that I'm not even sure what it's called, a signpost, I guess you could
It's
call it.
called a pylon sign.
Pylon sign.
And
So
I think there is electricity to that.
There is. So we're going to.
You got to remember that Ottawa is 6 months of winter and dark.
Yeah.
So you got to light it.
Yeah, we're going to paint the sign black with the white logo in the back, but with the logo that you know of right now. So it's going to be a black and white contrast, and we're thinking to have some relatively classic looking lamps on it as well. So instead of it being a neon thing, it's going to look, nice and rustic. It'll have that vibe on both as well. And then we're thinking of putting one on the front of the Quonset hut too, with the same type. So see from the street, it's lit there too.
That's a fantastic idea. Do you know what it means to reverse out a sign?
I have no idea what that means.
All right, so let me show you something. First, I'll show you something. So here is, I'll make it a little bigger. Should be able to see the long yards signs.
Yeah.
All right, so these are a dark print on a white background. These are dark print on a white background. Okay, and they're pretty good. They've done a great job for Chris. That's great. But signs that are reversed out are much more powerful. And I'll show you that as soon as I can find some pictures. Yeah, here's a perfect example. Can you see text?
Yeah.
So which one stands out more to you?
Let's see the white on black, the lower one.
That's right. So this means your text is reversed out of the background. All right. This is an example of reverse type. All right. So let's see some others. Let's go to images and see what Google will serve up here. Yeah. All right. Here's the Shanghai Beer Garden, right? That's not really a great example, but this is a better example. Isn't that a strong looking sign?
Yeah.
The bird's nest. Let's see if I can find some others that I really like. Well, that for now, that'll do. I'm going to send you this. So this is an example of reversing out. So I really like your idea of oh, I don't think that's the one I should use.
I get them all. Doesn't matter, Bruce.
Oops. I'm pathetic. I usually use Ottawa.
Sure.
Reverse. How are your spirits?
My spirits.
Yep.
They're incredible.
Good.
Be with some time down south, but other than that, things are good.
Good. All right. So tell me about the on-site signage again. You're going to have something on the building, right?
Yeah, exactly. So just to give you an idea here, this is, I don't know if you can see my desktop, but this is conceptually, this is what we're looking at here. Are you able to see my desktop?
Not yet. Share the screen. Try again. The little green button at the bottom. I can see something. Oh, there it is. Yeah. I saw that this morning. Yeah, that's good.
It's just an artist rendition, if you want to call it an artist rendition. But that's the vision that we have, is to put that up on the barn with those same kind of like black lamps or white lamps, depending on if we reverse it out or not, on the actual building.
That's fantastic. That'll be great. Well, that's a good start. And that's enough. You have something on the building, you have something on the pylon, it's a good start. And then, when the warm weather comes, you might put some, like you saw what Chris did, as you get some fencing up, you can put some more signs out there, And one of the things I was hoping you would do with your signs was to be a little bit more creative than Chris. I mean, what Chris did is fine, nothing wrong with that. But what I was hoping you could do is, and again, it's because it's the village, is you'd actually put on the fence actual little cutouts, right?
Yeah.
And so you'd have "we store," and then you'd have along the fence cutouts, to make it like, did you play with dinky toys when you were a kid?
Absolutely, yeah.
So did I, and I love them. But so I would do, I would get some sign maker who can just do cutouts for you, and I'd do that.
So this here, the week before, when we go back to our website, Bruce, and we have the footer on the bottom that says "we store," and there's pictures of all of these things. That's the inspiration that I use to put on our website. That's exactly.
I saw that. I really liked it. I mean, it's perfect. And again, it's just consistent with the down home theme. Like, if this one is the kind of success, or not surprisingly, at the end of 2023, the village was a great success. So when it is a great success, and if you ever do a second one, this is a model that I mean, if you wanted to, you could repeat, I think, over and over again in small towns across Canada and the States if you wanted to.
Yeah, and that's again, that's part of what we're thinking too. We want to make sure we can incorporate some down south into our plans. And that's
one of the things I was going to tell you about Merida. I'm trying to sell it to you. I'm not really trying to sell it to you, but I just like it here, and I think it is underpriced, and it will be a phenomenal success. I'm talking about Merida. One of the things about Merida is it's a very industrial town.
Okay.
And I suspect that a village in Merida would be successful. So you could have a beautiful place down here for not very much money compared to what you'd pay in the States or Canada. That would probably have a decent cap rate. And you could also have a village down here, I think. I'm pretty sure of that.
Nice. Yeah, we want to get our kids.
You probably couldn't do that in Costa Rica. Maybe you could. Maybe in the Dominican as well. Certainly you could do it in Florida if that's where you choose to be. But someplace like this, which is a very industrial town, I think it would work.
Okay, noted. Good to know.
All right, so let's go through the rest of it. I know I've got the agenda here. Let's make sure we get through as much as we can.
Yeah, perfect. So really, Bruce, there's a couple of things. We talked about the hydro hookup. So there's a call. They're calling me back to get that figured out. I'm going to tell them the truth, which is there is a hookup, and I'll let them come on site and figure out what they need to do. But in the past, hydro has been providing service to that building, so I'm not making up. There's a gray area, and I'm going to err on the side of me saving money in that gray area. I'm
crossing my fingers for you, because unfortunately the guy who leased the barn didn't pay his bill, and I didn't know that Ontario Hydro, I think it's Ontario Hydro or OPG, they came and they actually took the meter away. So
Okay.
we had 3-phase power in the building, which is really expensive to put in. And we had, and all of that, they took everything away. They just said, you're not paying you so-and-so without notifying the owner. Like, how do they do that? At least I could have paid it, right? And I got rid of the guy and he left the place a mess. But yeah, I mean, it cost us like at least $30,000 and maybe more to reinstall the power.
Yeah. So
And they wouldn't, and they refused to put 3-phase back in the building. That would have been, and they said, well, we'll put another transformer in. I said, what do you mean? I had 3-phase power here. Well, our standards have changed. It's total bull crap.
yeah. So that is an interesting question too, because here I'm at this stage now, Bruce, and I said this in the agenda where I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
So in terms of power, they're going to say, well, what do you need? And I'm going to say, I need something I can plug stuff into. That's the extent of my knowledge, right?
That's great. What a great line. I wouldn't actually use that with them. But you know, I do think you would ask them, well, I'd like to have a price on single phase and 3-phase, please. Because, you know, it's the workshops are not that big. But if you get somebody who's running a lathe or something like that, you know, or a computer controlled machine, you know, 3-phase power is great to have. If you don't have it, it's not the end of the world. But I would at least ask for 2 prices. What'll it cost me to rehook up the single phase? I'm pretty sure it was single phase where you before. And if I wanted to upgrade to 3-phase, what would that cost me? But if it turns out to be, you know, 30, 40 grand to upgrade to 3-phase, you say, I'll do that later. Because what could happen, Woody, is somebody could come along who says, I'll rent the entire space from you, right? I'll pay you $5,000 a month, plus, or whatever the number is. And, but I need 3-phase power. If they signed a 5-year lease, then you might think about upgrading. But other than that, like the average, you know, I've got a guy in there who makes guitars. I got a lady in there who is a seamstress, right? I've got a group in there that does dog training. You know, they don't need 3-phase power. So most of your clients won't need it. But if somebody really came along with heavy duty requirements and they were willing to pay enough money, then you might consider it. So ask for 2 prices, but I suspect you'll just end up with single phase.
With single phase. Okay, perfect, good. So
one thing I was thinking when I was just, this is a random thought, I wrote it down for you. Because you're calling it the Village, it has a lot of other really cool branding possibilities. It could become Santa's Village at Christmas time.
yeah.
So let's say you had 10 makers in there, or however many it is, right? It's the Village, you know, and let's say you have somebody in there making clothes, somebody in there making guitars, whatever. You know, the Village just lends itself to you know, Santa's Village or something like that. You know, you can have a lot of fun with the Village.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different angles to that as well, right? It takes a village. There's all kinds
I
of.
love that. I hadn't thought of that. It takes a village to raise an idiot like me. You know, but also it could be a Halloween village. I mean, it could be so many different things, you know. So it could be, like I said earlier with the cornhole idea, it could be a really fun place. All right, let's go back to your agenda.
Right. So the for a project plan or a sequence of events in terms of what needs to happen in what order, that to me is important too. So I know we need hydro, because without hydro, we can't get anything done. So that's number one.
Number one.
Yeah, number one. And then like the insulation, is that number 2? So in what order do I actually build this out? So can I put a sheet together? Well, I have a sheet that I put together in terms of what I think needs to happen. Can you vet that for me, just so that?
Can you share that with me?
Yeah, it's kind of a little all over the place, Bruce, but
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm just opening it up here, and
Ooh, I got to plug my computer in.
I'll get set up here.
A second here. I might actually have to move. I hope I don't lose you. Just give me a second here. I go, oh, hang on. I'm just going to plug it in because otherwise I'm running out of juice. This surface eats power. I just stabbed myself with my pen.
Oh, that's not good, Bruce.
Yeah, I think I'll live. All right, let's see. I've got to make sure, yeah, the power is I would have lost it in another 5 minutes. All right, okay. Thank you. So you've already done some of this, right?
Yeah, some of this has already taken place. So for phase 0, take the beach, you saw the picture. So we've got all of that excavated, leveled, and gravelled, right? And there's a spot next to the barn too where the tiny house is going to go. We left the trees in there as we talked about. So that phase 0 component in terms of like some curb appeal, the first part of that has been done.
Yeah.
And you need to put up the slat fences, and there's a lot of other things that need to happen. But what I want to do here is have a list of priorities whereby I know, okay, first off, we need hydro, right? Okay, hydro.
Yeah, that's number 1.
We need a furnace. We need to know what kind of lighting has to be put into the workshops. When do we put the insulation in? You know, if I put something in first, it should have gone in last. I mean, a lot of it's common sense too, but in terms of tapping the well, do I do that after the hydro? Because there's a well there's a capped well right in front of us on the other person's property that I want people access to. So then there's the composting toilet. There's all these different moving pieces, and I don't want to build something on top of something that I need to take out to put something in, if that makes any kind of sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. So I think probably the thing that's going to take longest is hydro.
Is what?
Is hydro.
Hydro, okay.
So to my way of thinking, that's got to be the number 1 priority, because without power, you know, you're pretty much stuck. So I think just somewhere on this sheet, just put down, you know, create somewhere. All right. So hydro would be number 1, I think. All right. And without that, you can't really put in any lighting or anything else unless it's temporary lighting. So hydro would be number 1. And I think I would certainly talk to somebody about insulation. All right. You know, we talked about the spray-on insulation that we used in our barn, which gives us an R12, which isn't great, but it isn't horrible either. So right next to insulation on the right-hand side there, just put R12 minimum. R12 is a minimum. So you probably can do better today, because I did that 20 or 25 years ago. You probably can do better. Yeah, make it a little bigger for your old professor here. Oh, that's great. All right. So I would talk to somebody about insulation. And when you talk to him about it, you should ask him, do we do the insulation before or after we do the wiring for the lighting? And before or after wiring? All right. And so the next thing would be obviously wiring it for lighting and power outlets. And I would talk to somebody about putting in a single furnace. And I think we hope that there's natural gas there. I think there is, and I know you do think, but I would have a single furnace, you know, with a blower on it and a pipe, right? And blower and pipe, and that's it. That's your heat. There is no air conditioning. If somebody wants air conditioning, you open your door and get yourself a fan.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's no point in heating the barn until you've got the insulation done, because right now, if you were to heat that thing, you know. So yeah, so you call a local Smith Falls heating, ventilation, and air conditioning company. They're called HVAC companies. And you're going to need to get at least 2 prices, because they can be, you know, if I'm super busy, I'll charge you $30,000. And if I'm not so busy, I might charge you 15. You know, it could be that much of a difference. And you might get 3 prices, but a minimum of 2.
Yeah.
And for every supplier you talk to, you should look at their reviews, right?
Yeah.
All right. So if you had hydro and you had it insulated and you had lights on and you had power outlets and you had it heated, you know, that's a really great start. Then after that is, you know, fixing the structures, right? Because I mean, the door, as I recall, you know, doesn't really work very well. So there's going to be some structural issues, right? So you're going to have to, you know, new door, maybe new overhead door, that sort of thing. If you can, I would get an insulated garage door. All right, so I'd put that down below under structural. I'd say an insulated garage door. And, you know, we did that for the barn dominium, and it just makes the whole thing so much easier. I mean, you could just put one that you just flip open and close, but we have a garage door with a code. And, you know, people put their code in, the garage door goes up. It makes loading and unloading much easier.
Okay.
So insulated garage door with a, you know, a keypad lock, and it's just like your garage at home. Does your garage at home have, you know, do you have one of those remote controls you could open it with?
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier than having to get out of your truck or your car and open it and then go inside and close it. And I think it's not that expensive, and it's really worthwhile. So I would have a keypad, and it would be an automated garage door. You know, because they're not that expensive, and you know, and that'll really add a lot. So now you've got that, and then you do your internal partitions.
Yeah.
And whoever is doing your internal partitions, yeah, you're good, will work with the electrical guy, right? So you can't wire all the workshops unless, you know, the electrician comes in while the you know, while the contractor is putting in the internal partitions, right? And, you know, he works with the electrical contractor to make sure that, and you want to have a good number of outlets in each workshop, not just one. And you want to obviously have, you know, good LED lighting. That's really important. Like here where we are now in Merida, it's a very, very nice place that we're staying in, but the lighting, you know, for reading and working is, you know, I mean, if you're drinking, low light is great. You know, if it's a party place, what the hell, you don't, you know, just have a party and you don't need a whole lot of light. But for working, the lights here are just so.
Okay.
And I think having good quality internal lighting, and you want to have yellow LED light as opposed to white LED light. And the reason for that is that, you know, it's so dark in Ontario for so many months that the LED lights that they are using now that are yellow actually help, you know, with to some extent alleviate SAD, seasonal affective disorder. And so you want that. You know, I mean, I think if you could get that done, that would be a huge step forward. Then, of course, you're going to do some fencing.
Yeah. So if we just, let's go back to the barn for a quick second then, Bruce. So we're going to look at the structure and get the doors in place.
Yeah.
and the insulation is going to go in, because when we look at the barn, there's some openings on the top around that end or
you can't block all of that off. The roof has to breathe, you know. So you know, your insulator, you'll talk to him or her, probably a guy, and you have to let the, you know, let it breathe. So in our barn, we do have the crown there, and there is, you know, openings up there that are left open because, you know, otherwise moisture will collect and it'll be a real mess. So you do have to let it breathe.
Okay.
It is what it is. I mean, to some extent, you're heating the outside, but it's not a whole lot of loss, but there is some loss up there for sure.
Okay. And then in terms of materials for dividing the workshops, both downstairs as well as upstairs, when we were on site, you talked about having some shutters on each side.
Yeah. We that was my wife's idea. I think she put shutters there. This is upstairs. We have the loft, and to box it all in would have been very expensive, and so I think they just put one row of shutters up, and it looks great, and it gives them a little bit of privacy.
Okay. And then what do we put against the walls?
I don't think you would put anything there. I mean, the walls will be, you know, like a chipboard. I mean, that's it. You know, don't use plywood. Plywood's too expensive. And you don't need to, and you certainly aren't going to use drywall. I mean, we do have some of our workshops are drywall, but most of them are just, you know, chipboard.
So the insulation first, and then the chipboard would go around it?
Yeah, I mean, on the outside walls, you don't do anything. Just insulated, that's it. You just leave them like that. The chipboard is simply to divide the workshops. You, in theory, you are supposed to fire separate each tenant, right? But there's no way you're going to do that. If you to fire separate each of the workshops in the barn dominium would have been phenomenally expensive. You know, then you have to use maybe 2 rows of 5/8 drywall, and it's really expensive. There's no way we're going to do that. These are just small workshops. You know, you got a guy making gluing, you know, acoustic guitars together, and next door to him is somebody who's importing and exporting stuff. You know, it's not like, you know, you've got somebody making nuclear weapons over here, and somebody making fireworks over here, and somebody doing an oil refinery over there. You know, I mean, obviously that's a whole different level of threat.
Yeah. Okay. And
so it's just chipboard between the workshops. Is, you know, you've got, you know, studs going up. It's you know, it is the cheapest form of construction that you can think of.
And do we insulate between the workshops too, or just like?
We did insulate for one of our tenants. She has a sensitivity to noise, and so we did do insulation between her workshop and some of the others, I think. But that was the only one, and it was just because we were building it, and she wanted to rent it, and she had some issues with noise.
Okay. And then for upstairs, there's 2 different areas we talked about,
Yeah, I remember that.
700 or 800 feet respectively, kind of thing. But that's where the bend starts to happen in the barn as well. So will particle board, we're talking about particle board or plywood? What?
No, not plywood, just particle board. Just you know, just ordinary 2x4 studs and particle board on both sides.
So will that mold to the shape of the?
Yeah, it'll go like this. You know, okay. It'll be a straight line, and a straight line. It won't be perfect.
Okay, but there'll still be enough room where people can get shit done. And
oh yeah. Don't worry about that. People, you know, and the price will determine, you know, what people will put up with. You know, if you want a high-end workshop, you can go spend $2,000 a month somewhere and get a great workshop. If you want something at the village, it's a village, and it'll work perfectly fine for you, but it might be, you know, $500 a month as opposed to $2,000, right? If somebody comes in with a champagne taste, but I guess a Volkswagen budget, you know, you're never going to make a deal with those people. Never.
Yeah. Not a fit, not
No,
interested.
the bottom feeders, I know, I get a lot of calls. Yeah, I'd like this, and this, but I don't want to pay anything. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Will you represent me as my realtor? You know, I want a 16-bedroom executive home, but I'm only willing to pay $350,000. Yeah, I'd like one too. When you find one, let me know, Woody.
Otherwise, keep it moving. Okay. And then in terms of
the other thing I think that will be really important is to equip some sort of a bathroom facility. Yeah. The composting toilet, and you know, and to composting toilet, and to have you know, to get water to the building. Obviously, you're not going to do that until you have heat.
Yeah.
So the next thing underneath the bathroom composting toilet would be, you know, putting water to the building. You're going to need a slop sink.
A what?
A slop sink. You know, you have like a slop sink. You know, it's like you see in janitors.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say I'm painting something in my workshop, and I have to go clean my brushes, right?
Okay, so it'll be like a communal slop sink as opposed to.
Yeah. And you'll also need, in the bathroom, I would put a sink with water, and it goes to a gray water pit. I don't think you have a septic field here yet.
No, I do not.
Yeah, so you're going to want water to the building. You're going to have a sink in the bathroom, just write sink in the bathroom. And you're going to want to also have a gray water pit.
Okay. And that's where we need to hook into the well for, which was at the barn. We need hot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Use the pump. Okay. Now the floors, Bruce. The floor on the main level, the ground level, it's concrete. Like, it's a concrete pad, but it's not pretty, whatever. But it's there.
We talked about parging it. You remember parging?
No.
Oh, well, write down PARGING. Parging the floor. So, but this is the last thing you do. So you no, that isn't quite right. It's not quite right. Before you put your, you know, your partitions up and your 2x4s up and your you know, and all that good stuff, and the particle board, you're going to want to have somebody come in and parge the floor. It just means they mix cement, and they literally, on their hands and knees. It's a hell of a thing. So before you actually build out the internal partitions, right? But I would do the insulation, and probably even the you know, the other stuff that you're doing. A lot of the other stuff would be done, because I don't want to bring heavy stuff in on a brand new parged floor and start cracking it, although it might crack anyway. But before you do the internal partitions, it would be great if somebody came in and parged the floor. They just level it, and it'll look brand new.
Okay, good. Fantastic.
When they're parging it, if you wanted to, you could put a pattern in it too. Lots of them will do that. They'll just bring in something, you know, do you know what I mean? They could pattern it. And you know, you could have hexagons or something like that. And they just do that, and it can make it less slippery.
Okay. Good, less slippery. Good.
Yep.
Okay. So anything else at this point in time?
I think, you know, I mean, there'll be a million things that we've forgotten, but your contractors will tell you for sure. You know, oh, what about this? What about that? So Woody, as much planning as you can do, and I know you'll plan it out very well and you'll be careful, there will be things that we've forgotten, and that you will forget, that I will forget, and problems will come up that you'll have to solve on the fly.
Yeah, understood. I just want to make sure I avoid the big stuff.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine. I think this is a good list to start with.
Okay, and Bruce, I'll let you go. I have one last question though. That is about the cost justification argument. So we had that conversation when we were on site, and I'd like to be able to digest what my my value proposition is to prospective workshop customer who says, well, you're asking for $450 a month. That sounds expensive. And then you talked about what the fee would be in Ottawa or other like tier 1, tier 2 markets. And ultimately, the way that you put it was very, very nice and succinct. You had all these bullets in place. And I want to be able to develop something like that with some actual numbers that I could spew back and do some objection hammering. Like, oh, that's too much money. The first tenant is going to get a break, as we talked about, just to get someone in the flood. But after that, I want to say, like, this is the price, this is the justification. To your point, if you don't like it, pardon my language, fuck off, right? Move down, find something else. But
well, think about. Let's write some stuff down today. A 10 by 10 mini storage, unheated, in Smith Falls is, $125 to $135 a month.
Yeah. Okay.
And these workshops are heated. They have power.
Yeah.
They have lights. They have security cameras. They have an automated garage door, which, if you go to a mini storage place in the middle of winter, you're friggin' freezing while you're trying to get that thing unstuck from the ice. They're part of a community. A workshop is different from a mini storage place. It's a community. And if you don't think that's important, if you were to talk to some of my tenants, they would say, I got a load of something and I couldn't get it off the truck. It weighed too much. I went to see Woody. I said, Woody, have you got 10 minutes to help me out? Yeah, you bet. Yeah. So, you get support from your community. Just call it support. Community support. Perfect. I mean, there's so many things that are unseen until you actually experience it for yourself, right? And how big are these? If I recall, they're 200 square feet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just go down. These are 200 square feet, not 100 square feet. Right? Not 100. A 200 square foot mini storage space it costs $225 to $245 a month. And again, you don't have any power, you don't have any light. It's not set up for any of these things. You don't have any community. There's no garage door, etc. So, $450 a month for a workshop is fantastic. The other thing that I think, and you'll get it to $500, but I would ask to start with $445 plus HST. That's where I would start, $445 plus HST. And that includes power, unless they're running servers, or unless they're running a welding machine, or unless they're running a computer controlled machine. That perfect. I couldn't have said it any better, for fair use. So you get somebody in there sewing, or somebody in there turning on the lights, and they train dogs. The amount of power they consume is almost nothing. Yeah. But obviously, if somebody comes in and, hey, I've got 2 computer controlled machines, can I put them in here? Yes, but we're going to monitor your power, and you're going to have to pay for that. So, maybe you're paying $200 a month for power, and all of a sudden you got a new tenant, and the next month it goes to $400. Guess what? He's paying the extra $200.
Yeah, and you've got the history that you can use to justify.
Yeah, no, you just talk to the guy and say, look, great, I'm going to charge you $445 plus HST, same as everybody else. But after the first month, we're going to see how much power you're using, and you're going to have to pay for that. So hopefully it'll be reasonable. But you certainly, if somebody came in there and ran 6 servers in a 200 square foot space, holy smokes, that it could use $400 or $500 a month of power. You'll know right away. You'll just show them, hey, this is my power for last month. This is what it is now, and you're paying the difference. And don't forget, you're going to do month-to-month leases. So if somebody says, well, no, I'm not paying for that, I just don't feel like it, this is commercial leasing, you can kick them out. So month to month, that's the way to go. And especially, it is a community that you're trying to create. So if somebody is creating, a fuss, then you want to be able to get rid of them, right? If somebody's like playing like acid rock music at 110 decibels, you can't have that. I mean, in your workshop, you play the radio or something, or some music on your iPhone or whatever, but you can't be blasting everybody's eardrums. So you just get rid of them. I mean, you just say, look, here's your notice, you're gone, and good luck. The other thing I would do, Woody, is you should look and see what other workshops are going for in the area. I'll bet you there's a few garages in people's backyards that are, just go on Kijiji and check it out for yourself. I'll bet you they're not cheap. Check Kijiji. The other thing, I got to stand up for a second. It's a little noisy. The other thing that I would, sorry about that. The other thing I would do is I would look at the value. All right, I'm sorry, it's a little dark. So let's say you have a 200 square foot workshop. What kind of revenues can you produce from that? So ask yourself, just write down from a 200 square foot workshop, what kind of revenues? I would ask them, what kind of revenues can you generate from that? Like this young woman who has a 200 square foot workshop, she sells expensive clothing to fashion forward women, mostly in Michigan and California. And these, I mean, she'll put a video on TikTok and she'll get 100,000 views in 48 hours.
Wow. Okay.
And I think she has one video that got 300,000 views on TikTok. I mean, when I look at my YouTube channel, if I get 3,000 views for a video, I think, wow, that's like a mega hit for Bruce. She gets, I mean, she's an attractive young woman too. That certainly helps. But her clothing is amazing, and she'll sell out. Sometimes she'll sell out her next production run in like 20 minutes. So TikTok is an incredible medium. And so, if she sells out, 100 garments at, $500 each, I mean, that's quite a bit of money, I think, like in 20 minutes. So paying $495 plus HST for her workshop it's like not even a half a cup of coffee to her.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean.
So if somebody says, look, I can generate $1,000 a month in sales from my workshop, that's not going to cut they should stick to their dining table, right? I mean, that's a hobby business. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, lots of people have hobby businesses. And so you should ask that question. Look, if you're going to pay $445 a month plus HST, how much can you generate from that? And if they say $1,000 a month, then you should tell them, you should stick to your dining room table. This is not for you. But if you're generating, so put down on the next, on this list, that occupancy costs should not exceed about 10% of your revenues. That's like a rule of thumb, Woody, in our business that goes back decades, right? So so what that means is if you're paying, say, $445 a month, your sales should be a minimum of $4,450. Maybe not in the first month. In the first month, maybe your sales are nothing. Maybe it's $100. But within the period of time that's reasonable, which would be 6 months or a year, you should be doing close to $5,000 a month. If you cannot do $5,000 a month in sales, then, I mean, do you want to work for less than $60,000 a year? And don't forget, you got your cost of materials, your the cost of everything else against that, right? So you're not making 60 grand, maybe you're making 30. Well, you can make $30,000 going to work for Home Depot with a lot less stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you should say, look, maybe not in the first month, but you should probably be aim to make, sell $5,000 worth of guitars a month or more. I mean, if you could sell 10,000, you're in great shape. But 10% is, and that's true, by the way, whether we're talking about a restaurant, opening up a pub. I mean, today, if you were to rent a 5,000 square foot space to open a pub, your rent could easily be $250,000 a month, including everything, right?
Wow.
No, maybe I didn't get that right. No, sorry, $250,000 a year.
Okay.
It could easily be that, or $300,000 a year. So 300, I got it right, which means that your sales have to be between $2 and $3 million. So if somebody comes to me, I've had it, and they say, yes, I think my pub can generate $700,000 or $800,000 a year, you can absolutely say right away they are going to fail.
Right.
I'm not kidding. Chris, former Ottawa Senators player, he opened up a pub on Queensview Drive. Geez, I can't remember. He played for the Sens for a long time.
I know. I know the pub too.
The big rig. Chris Phillips, the big rig. Okay. In his first year, Chris Phillips at the big rig and his team sold $6 million worth of food and beverages. $6 million. And his occupancy costs were about $300,000 a year all in. So he was at about 5%. And he asked me, is that any good? I said, Chris, the number of restaurants in Ottawa that do 5 or 6 million a year, you could count probably on one hand, maybe two, but probably only one hand. Most of these pubs make 2 to 3 million. At 5 or 6 million, you are in a group by yourself. He said, oh, well, that's good. I mean, he's a hockey player. I mean, he did a great job, put together a terrific team, but he wouldn't know that stuff. He played hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
So he asked me, and I said, no, you did great. Just great. And it's made him a wealthy man. Oh, he already was doing very well as a hockey player, but still.
Well, yeah, he's setting it up properly, or he has set it up properly.
No, and he did a great job. And we still order food from the big rig. It's pretty good. All right, so I think that'll give you enough to go on. And let me know what happens when you look at local workshop prices. I'm sure you're going to find some that are, $800 a month in Smith Falls. I could be wrong, but check it out.
Okay.
One last thing I wanted to mention to you. If you do any TikTok videos, they have to be really good. They have to be short and they have to be really good. The TikTok audience is a good audience, I think, for the village. Lots of young people have side hustles, but it's not. So anyway, what I was going to say is I looked at your marketing channels. You should add YouTube videos because YouTube videos are, it's okay. You've seen all my corner, or not all, but you've seen some of my corner YouTube videos. Those are fine. Like on YouTube, contractors will look at a video that I did and they don't care if it's kind of a homemade looking old guy saying a few things. They don't mind. And contractors do a lot on YouTube. And the reason for that is think about how many do-it-yourself help videos that are on YouTube, right? Like if you're trying to figure out how to repair a stove, you go on YouTube and there'll be somebody who has that model who tried this and it didn't work, and they tried this and it did work. And in 4 or 5 minutes, you can learn how to do it and save yourself hours of frustration, literally.
Yeah.
So, and I'll give you an example that my oldest daughter is married to a beautiful young man. His name's Pat Kerr, and he is a very successful Boilermaker. I watch when he does something, before he does anything, he'll touch anything, he'll do a YouTube video, learn how it's done, and then he'll do it in 2 minutes, whereas you and I might attack it and get frustrated and start swearing.
Yeah,
I mean, it's much smarter. So I was going to ask you to add YouTube, and you can just record yourself saying, hey, hi, everybody. Welcome to the village. This is Matt, but people call me Woody. This is what we're doing. Here's you've seen me do these videos, and it can be 3 or 4 minutes. Put it on YouTube, create a channel for yourself. It's free. And if you get 300 views, that's fine. Because maybe you get 6 signups, right? So I think for contractors, most contractors, they'll use YouTube before they'll use TikTok.
Understand. Okay. So
for TikTok, you're going to need, if you're going to do a TikTok video, it's going to be under a minute, and the production values have to be much better. It has to be funny. It has to have music. It's a more difficult medium. But there are lots of young people who have side hustles, and so I think it's a great idea, but it can't be a shitty, Prof. Bruce type video.
Right. Yeah, no, it's got to be pro. It's got to be polished, because people
it does. And it has to be short, and it has to be a little funny too.
Okay.
All right. And you have a great face for it, by the way. And but it has to be funny. You might even have that background going, hey, I'm, with Hawaiian music going and stuff like that, and you say, hey, yes, this was me from the village, and in downtown Smith Falls. You can see the background behind me. This is Smith Falls, Ontario, small town Ontario. This is what it looks like. Bet you didn't know that. And then you just give them a short, and you're not pitching. You don't sell on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
You simply inform. Look, this is what I've done. And one of the things I would like you to do is have lots and lots of before and after pictures, like the pictures you've been doing. Like you can do wonderful things on YouTube. It's easy. You just have a slide deck and you talk to it, and you put it up there, and you get 300 or 400 views. That's all you need. And then you can put that in your ads and everything, the YouTube video. But to reach, a larger audience and a young audience, TikTok is the way, but it's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's good and noted as well. And myself too, I like to go to YouTube, and I'd rather watch a short video than read instructions. It just, to me, I learned better.
100%. Okay, I have one last point. We'll schedule something for next month if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
And I'll schedule that. But I have another thing, and that is, I loved your idea about the QR code on the windshields. That's brilliant.
Okay.
That was friggin' great. But of course, they only go on pickup trucks, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I was thinking pickup trucks, and if I see like a dump truck or something, no.
Oh, yeah, trucks, loaders, dozers, anything that you see, for sure. And RVs, definitely RVs, recreational vehicles, anything like that. A boat even, you put it on there, but not a Tesla.
Or a Prius. Yeah, none of those things.
All right. I'll see you later.
All right, Bruce, enjoy Mexico. Be well.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Bob. Bye.